All right, fellas, let's move over to the quarterback predictions. And Jay, you are often a supporter of Geno Smith. What do you believe? Where's your belief level at in Geno this year?
Very high, sky high, Connor. Sky high belief in Geno Smith. My prediction is that in fantasy he finishes above Dak Prescott, which might sound a little crazy given that Dak is going as QB9, QB10. Geno's going outside the top 20 QBs. Dak finished second in MVP last season. But I don't think this is actually that bold because it happened 2 years ago with Geno, where he finished as a top 10 quarterback in terms of points per game in fantasy, 4 or 5 spots ahead of Dak. So I just think that with the uncertainty around the Cowboys still, just they didn't add a second receiver, got 2 rookies starting on the offensive line, right tackle, still don't trust that. And I think that a lot of Dak's production came because he was lighting up bad teams indoors last year. Let's see how he goes week 1 in Cleveland. Let's see how he goes week 3 against Baltimore. And with all the stuff around Dak's contract, just a little bit concerned about the Cowboys overall. And meanwhile, I believe in your man, Connor, Ryan Grubb, to really weaponize the Seattle offense. I think the Seahawks are going to surprise a lot of people. I think Geno's just become underrated, which is weird because he was such an amazing story 2 years ago. Now he's something of an afterthought. I think that Geno is an above-average quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way. I love your point about Ryan Grubb's offense, too. Look what Penix did those last 2 years. I think it's going to translate to the NFL. Lawrence, you're sticking...
I agree with everything Jay just said, except every time you say Geno Smith, just put Sam Howell in there, and we're good.
That'll be a
Future
problem.
Hall of Famer Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Still, huh?
Still. Oh, yeah, listen, I'm loyal. But no, I just think I agree with you. I think Walker's going to have a big year. I think Fant is really interesting as well as kind of a late tight end sleeper. And then, of course, I think this is the JSN breakout year. Yeah. DK going to be DK.
Seahawks win the division. It's like plus 700. Bye-bye Niners.
I like that call.
I ain't mad at that.
No.
What do you like, Lawrence, the quarterbacks?
I'm going to go with Bryce Young here. Obviously not a great rookie season, but we all got to admit the roster was like buns. Like, that's what you get when you're the number 1 overall pick. But he threw 11 touchdowns last season against 10 interceptions. I'm saying he's going to double those touchdown passes, throw for at least 22. They bring in Deontay Johnson, draft Xavier Legette at receiver. They get 2 new guards in, and the most important part of this is Dave Canales, who we just saw him work with Baker Mayfield, had his best season ever. The year before that, he coached Geno Smith to his best season ever. So I'm looking like it could even be some points where we're thinking, like, should I start Bryce Young this week? I think Deontay Johnson, and now having Adam Thielen as that second or third option as opposed to the first, you got a guy like Johnson who can get open in the intermediate parts of the field. That's going to be big for a guy like Bryce Young, who likes to make plays off schedule. So I'm looking for him to double his touchdown passes this season.
You brought up Dave Canales, brought in to support and develop their young quarterback in Bryce Young. We got to hear from Canales on where Young is at entering week 1.
As we start to collect information about Bryce and about our group, our skill group, it all starts with a protection plan, but then as we get to the concepts, it's which ones does he look confident? Which ones does he just feel great about? As we organize our call sheet, it all reflects what we feel most confident, and we'll certainly take, Bryce's feedback, really the quarterback room feedback as we go into those. So I think beyond that, the workload looks the same, as far as just what we're doing on the field, the fundamentals, the footwork, all those things would be the same. But I think the dialogues do kick into another gear as we get into this game.
Matthew, with the quarterbacks, any chance your ride or die has to do with your bold prediction here?
Obviously it does. So that's my bold prediction. Kyler Murray finishes as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. Look, he's my ride or die for a reason. Since he entered the NFL, he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback on a points per game basis, and now I would argue he's got the best weapons around him in the addition to Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride as well. I like Greg Dortch, the human Dortch, as you guys know. Drink for those of you at home who you understand who you are. And, of course, Michael Wilson, who we got some nice moments out of last year. James Conner, a good pass-catching backfield, running back out of the backfield. My argument is that fully healthy, mobile, and with more weapons, Kyler Murray finishes the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. Maybe Josh Allen loses a few rushing touchdowns to Ray Davis or James Cook as they go a little bit more balanced in Buffalo. And then you think about some of the other guys that potentially could get there, right? And so does Pacheco have a big year for Mahomes? I think the combination of rushing and huge passing numbers for Kyler Murray, that's my bold prediction. Number 1 quarterback in fantasy, Kyler Murray. K1. The 1 stands for number 1 in fantasy.
Yep. I like it. Well done, Matthew. Yeah, I think the good thing too is that this is a team whose win total is 7.5, which is kind of ideal for compiling numbers. And I'm with you. I thought Kyler, just subjectively, I thought he looked the best that he did in the second half of last season that he has since that 2021 year, where he's the MVP favorite halfway through the season.
And if Jalen Hurts loses a few rushing touchdowns to Saquon, you sort of see the guys ahead of him that you can see that path. Josh Allen, right?
Receivers.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Kyler, QB1 for you. My bold prediction, Jordan Love. It's funny to call this a bold prediction. I think he finishes as a top 5 quarterback. He did that last year. He's QB5. He's being drafted around QB10. Jordan Love is completely undervalued in fantasy drafts. I think what people sleep on, guys, is that he does add some rushing. I mean, 6 games last year with 20-plus rushing yards. 8 games last year with 20-plus fantasy points. Only Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts had more games than that. And this is somebody who it was his first year starting. Take the second half of last year and build it into this year. I think Jordan Love's going to have a monster fantasy season. We got to hear from Jordan Love. He sat down with Maria Taylor on who he models his game after. It might surprise you.
Are there quarterbacks, even when you were growing up or playing in the backyard, that you thought, I'm going to model my game after, or film that you've watched, or who are some of the guys that you've looked up to always growing up?
Yeah, I mean, for me growing up, my favorite quarterback was Michael Vick. Just being, the special player he is, where he can throw the ball almost 70 yards, on the money, and then he can, break you down and run it for 100 yards, being one of the best athletes on the field. So I remember playing Madden with him, and I would always use Mike Vick, and I had the Mike Vick shoes when I was in youth football, and I just love watching him. But, I'm just, a fan of the game. I love watching great quarterback play, so I've watched everybody and just try and watch their game, see the cool things they do, and just try and learn from different guys. But Mike Vick, A-Rod, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, I mean, those are guys I watch a lot of.
Is it crazy to think that someone could be sitting at home playing Madden with Jordan Love?
Yeah, that is very crazy. I mean, even me, I go home and play Madden with myself sometimes, which is crazy, but, it's all part of the journey. It's a blessing to think I used to grow up playing this game and playing with these guys, and now I'm on the game. So it's definitely, it's a real feeling, but it's crazy.
What a treat the Friday game is going to be. Jordan Love against Jalen Hurts in Brazil on Peacock. It's
exclusively on Peacock.
Only on Peacock.
That's it. Peacock.
Can't watch it anywhere else. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see what Jordan Love does this season.
Yep, he finished this top 5 QB. It didn't seem like he knew what he was doing in the first half of the season as well.
And it all
he
changed.
was really struggling in those games against the Lions and Raiders in primetime. Figured it out. He's a monster down the stretch.
That first half of the season, he was putting up fantasy points, but it wasn't super
Out of
efficient.
control.
He got lucky. It felt like
Very
he got lucky.
touchdown-based.
Very touchdown-based. Felt like he got a little bit lucky, but then the second half of the year, you're just like something snapped, and he was just like, oh, that's the guy. That's the franchise guy. And again, he probably wishes he had his last pass of the season back, but the playoff up until that last pass in the playoffs, he was brilliant.
Yep.
He was brilliant again. He was brilliant against Dallas. He was brilliant except for one play against the Niners.
Okay, you have a chance to win $1 million in the NBC sweepstakes on Yahoo Fantasy. Just download the redesigned Yahoo Fantasy app or go to NBCSports.com/fantasymillion for additional details. What are you waiting for?
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.